Hi, and welcome back to Starbucks Saturday. First of all, I say this every video. If you can't see my face, sorry, not sorry, but I'm blind and I can't look in the viewfinder or know how to adjust the camera, so yeah. Welcome to my world. My world is a sound world. I write it every day in the description. Having said that, just because you're blind shouldn't mean you can't YouTube. I believe that. I prove that with every video. I'd like to believe just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't maybe even make some money off of YouTube. But whether or not that'll ring true for me is still to be determined. I haven't yet. But, you know, just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't YouTube is a phrase that I came up with, but it's not 100% original. It kind of goes back to a blindness training center that I went to. I can't believe this has been 15 years ago. It's 2003. I started in 2003. I was there from July of 2003 to August of 2004. It's actually a 9-month program. 6 to 9 months is what they say. The reason I spent 13 months there is because, 13 months there, is because I stayed for some so-called career center time, and I won't talk about that for a lot of reasons, one of which is if anyone is watching and considering going to a center like this, I want you to go. I want you to do what's right for you. If you think it's the right thing for you to do, go. I still think it was the right thing for me to do. I still do. I had good experiences and bad experiences, but really, there was a lot that factored into that. Just life itself. And, I guess what I'm trying to say is, although I wish some things had happened differently, I don't blame the place for it. Not really, not for a lot of things. Anyway, if you've been watching my videos, you know this about me. I could spend hours saying what should take a minute to say. Anyway, it goes back to that training center I spent a year at, and the shop teacher there, he still teaches shop there to this day, and when he says his spiel about his shop class and about what they do there, he always starts it the same way. This class is Basics in Industrial Arts. I'm not teaching this class as a trade. I'm teaching it as confidence building. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't do. Now, I don't know if he was the one that coined that phrase, just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't do, or if someone else came up with it and he liked it and he uses it every day, or what. But, personally, I think just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't do is true to some extent. I think it depends on what you're trying to do. For example, just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't drive. Yeah, it does. I'm sorry. I know there's these self-driving cars now, but I still even if I could legally get my hands on one of those self-driving cars, I would want to know how in the world you know what. How does the self-driving car predict what the maniac in the other car is doing? I mean, sighted people have car accidents all the time. And if a blind person got behind the wheel of a car, I mean, this is why DMVs don't award driver's licenses to people who can't see. Because I do think you have to be able to see to safely drive. However, just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't travel. That I do agree with. If you're blind and you just can't see, and that's the only problem that you have, and you still have the orientational ability to keep track of where you are, you can walk to places if they're close enough to walk to, or take city buses. I can't do either one of those things because above and beyond my blindness, I can't find my way out of a wet paper bag because I don't have the mental ability to keep track of where I am long enough, to keep an accurate track of where I am long enough to just stay on the right track the whole time I'm trying to get somewhere. I personally believe it's because I was a premature baby, and although I will probably never get a medical diagnosis, I think I lost more than my eyesight in that fight for my life as a little bitty thing. I think I lost some of my brain power in the part of the brain that, as I said, keeps track of where you are. I can think, I just can't keep track of where in the world I am, and therefore I can't get places. I'll walk to the bank next door, but even that, I would go with Ira, which is I could do a whole separate video about Ira. It's a service where you connect through a phone app and through a pair of smart glasses to a person who has eyesight, and through the camera on either your phone or your smart glasses, they can see what's going on around you, and they can kind of give you they can tell you what's going on. I'd love to demonstrate Ira one of these days, but I would need to contact the company and get special permission to do that, and I just haven't buckled down and done it. But I can't do it without getting that permission. Under normal circumstances, it's not allowed. I might be able to get an exception, but anyway, just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't travel. That is true, and that's one of the things that you learn at a center like the one I went to. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't read. That is true. Again, with technology, okay, you can't read with your eyes, but if you can learn Braille and get the material in Braille, you can read it. Or if you have it sent in an electronic format, like a Word file or a text file or within the body of an email, you can read it with what's called a screen reader, which is a program that reads the screen out loud. VoiceOver is a screen reader for Macs and iPhones and iDevices. There's screen readers like JAWS for Windows, NVDA, even Narrator, I guess, is something of a screen reader. I'm an old Windows 7 user still. I haven't upgraded to Windows 10, so I don't know much about Narrator. But so just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't read. That is true. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't use a computer, write an email, write a thing up in Microsoft Word. That is true. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't cook. That is true. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't pull yourself together after you become blind and have a good life. That, I believe, is true. I'm not trying to belittle anyone who just became blind and you're thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do now? How is my life not over? I can't imagine what that must be like. The truth is, as I said, I was a premature baby, and the day I came home from the hospital, my mother cradled this tiny, 4 or 5 month old blind infant in her arms. I've been blind my whole life. But I also think that whether you are essentially blind from birth or born blind, or whether you lost your sight in a car accident or a traumatic event or to a disease later in life or whatever, isn't the point. I think with the correct training and the correct outlook on things, your blindness doesn't have to get in the way of life itself. Just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't do. Well, maybe that depends on what it is you're trying to do. Just because you're blind doesn't always have to mean you can't do. That's how I would kind of rephrase that. Just because you're blind doesn't always have to mean you can't do. And I've said this before. I don't know why I feel compelled to say it again, but I just do. All I can say is, even though I'm not doing Eyes Don't Work Wednesday anymore, that series has had multiple names over the times that I've tried to do it. Sightless Sunday, Eyes Don't Work Wednesday. The problem is there's no day of the week that starts with a B as in boy or blind. Because I'd like to do it. I mean, that's why I'm thinking maybe the Umbrella series or series title, Life Beyond Blindness, no matter what day it is, maybe I should just call it Life Beyond Blindness. Because that's what I believe, that there is life beyond blindness, and I mean, I'm living proof of that, actually. I don't sit around at home twiddling my thumbs, feeling sorry for myself, and saying life really sucks and there's nothing I can do about it. I actually look at Starbucks Saturday even, I don't I don't call it Starbucks Saturday because I'm saying pause the recording, go to Starbucks, pick up your favorite coffee, and come back. If you want to do that while you're watching this video, go right ahead. But I call it Starbucks Saturday because I literally come to Starbucks and
Yeah, I would love a keepsake for sure. I would love a keepsake, and I think that I'm so proud of her.
pick up a hot chocolate. Since I'm not a taste of coffee fan, and do this here at Starbucks. Is it easy to do videos at home? Sure. But it might be part of what I'm trying to prove, that just because you're blind doesn't mean you can't go to Starbucks and get what you want. What compelled me to do this video? Maybe the fact that I got this email. I subscribed to this. What do I call it? I subscribe to this entity that talks about how to succeed on YouTube. And one of the things they say is, I got an email the other day saying, here's part of people's problems. They don't have a clear brand. They don't have a clear direction that their channel's going. Well, okay, maybe it's true. I don't. But number one, I think that vlogging channels, vlogging channels, there are successful vlogging channels, and did those people have clear directions, or did they just say, let me basically create video blogs, video diaries, video whatever, and put it up on YouTube? And there are people that have had their channels monetized. And as far as a brand or a logo or something, well, I'm not a business owner. But what is the point of this channel? This channel is kind of, like I said, it is a vlogging channel. It's a kind of whatever channel. But I guess if I had to say what the point of this channel is, it's that just because you're blind doesn't always mean you can't do. And whether it's through demonstrating something in the blindness community, or demonstrating something that the blindness community would benefit from, or going out to work and doing a vlog about it, or going to Starbucks and making a video, I'm proving that. So, as always, I have spent 20 minutes talking to y'all, and I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I hope that... Who am I kidding? I do hope that I can get monetized eventually and get somewhere with this channel, but even if I don't, I hope I can inspire somebody who is either going blind or just lost their sight, or maybe you've been blind your whole life, but all anyone's ever done for you is drag you down and made you believe, fed into this thought that, well, I can't possibly do anything as a blind person. Well, I hope that this channel will inspire any or all of the above that, yeah, you can. You just need to believe that. First of all, this see it, believe it, achieve it. I'm not sure how much I believe in that because, well, I don't know. Maybe you can, and I just have a hard time believing it. But the point is, if you can believe that just because you're blind doesn't always have to mean that you can't do, and work with your state vocational rehabilitation agency or Blind Incorporated or the Louisiana Center for the Blind or the Colorado Center for the Blind or the Iowa Center for the Blind, is it? Or I wish the organization that I have now kind of, well, if some of you come upon this video, you won't like this, but I wish that the organization that I have become a part of now had training centers. But anyways, because if they did, I would promote them as well. Anyway, the point of my channel is just because you're blind doesn't always have to mean you can't do. And I hope that that will get me somewhere on YouTube. And if it doesn't, I hope it'll at least inspire people that are facing visual impairment, blindness. That's another thing. The reason why I'm saying I want to just call it Life Beyond Blindness, because there's no shame in saying the word blind. Blind is not a bad word. And to tell you the truth, I think of one situation in particular where somebody was kind of trying to advocate for me, and they were calling this place that was putting notices on my door, and this person was reading it to me, and they said, I'm going to call them and tell them that you need to, they need to call you. There's no reason they can't call you. And I probably should have done that myself, but she calls, and she says, she leaves a message on this voicemail saying, this person is sight impaired and can't read anything that you tape to her door. I'm thinking, sight impaired? I probably should have let her leave the message and say, individual whose name I'm not going to say on here, it's okay to call me blind. I call myself blind. Anyway, okay, so here I am. I've done exactly what I don't like it when other people do. I said, okay, I'm going to wrap this video up, and then yammered on for another 20 minutes. Just because you're blind doesn't always have to mean you can't do. Just I hope that I inspire people to realize that. And after saying that for the 10th time, I'm going to say thank you for watching. If you've watched for this long, bless your heart. And please like, comment, subscribe if you think these videos are worth watching. I'm going to go ahead and say turn the notifications on. If you actually are one of these people that, if I have any such thing as a diehard NV87 fan out there, turn the notifications on. I'm hearing a lot of YouTubers lately say, turn on the notifications, because I'm getting a lot of people saying that people are not seeing when my videos come up. YouTube is not telling you when my videos come up. Make sure you turn your notifications on. If I have people that are that interested in what I have to say every week, and you have subscribed but you want to know when I say something every week, turn your notifications on. Please check out the Do Not Demonetize petition and sign it if you feel so moved. Please tell Twitter to not #BreakMyTwitter. And without further delay, I will wrap this up and see you next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.